Hi, everybody. I'm Marc Malkin, Senior Culture and Events Editor at Variety, and we're waiting for our princess. So, the princess is in traffic. So she doesn't get like a horse and carriage like they do over there in merry old London. Hey, how's your weekend? Did you like the movie? Yeah, she's pretty transformative, isn't she? It's pretty amazing with someone like Kristen, because obviously we know Kristen, and we really know Kristen Stewart. Oh, hey.
Hi, how's it going? Usually there's like a 10-minute period where I sit in a green room. I guess I lost track. I'm so fucking sorry. Was it been like 3 minutes?
3.5.
5? Okay.
You know?
Hi.
But I told. Hi, take your time. Relax. You good?
I'm fully relaxed.
Cool.
It's just like,
It's
sorry.
Sunday. I was just asking them if they liked the movie. Did you like the movie? And what I was starting to say until you interrupted me is
I can leave.
what's amazing is you're Kristen Stewart, but you completely transformed. My husband and I were watching it, and we said, we didn't see you. We did not see you. You became Princess Diana. It's pretty incredible. So Pablo Larraín calls you and says, so I got this movie, Princess Diana, and you're like, so who are you thinking of playing her? And what do you say to him when he says, I want you to play Princess Diana?
Not no. No, I didn't have like the most developed relationship with her story. I've always admired her from afar, but really from a sort of like amorphous, unarticulated place. And I love Pablo's work, and he was so positive about it. And I've said this a million times, but that doesn't mean anyone knows that. But I was like, yeah, when someone like that tells you that they are on a track, usually that winds up somewhere worthwhile and truthful. And when he described the prospective 3 days that we were going to examine and kind of fall into, I thought it was such a cool way of approaching the thing. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't all the stuff that we know, but all the things that I learned in the research actually wound up being so substantiated in the script in a way that was like more like a shadow of a feeling versus like hanging a lantern on all of the things that we know. Yeah, and considering she's like a extremely famous person that people think they know a lot about, I just was like, it's so interesting to examine the moments in between where she's alone. Even though it's obviously a total work of fiction, I think that's why we make movies, is not to like tell people stuff, but to like examine the inside of shit, blah, blah.
You've told me that you had 4 months to prepare. Is that the usual time you had to prepare, or I feel like when you told me, like, that's a pretty long time?
Yeah, I usually don't. I have not ever had to take so much. I've never had such a prep schedule for myself. I usually, I knew about this movie for like a year and a half before we shot it, and so it was the most looming. Every morning, every night, like head on pillow, Diana. Oh my God, I have to like do this at some point. And until you actually get something up on its feet, it just seems like this fantasy. You don't know what it looks like, tastes like, feels like. And so it's going to inevitably happen, but how it's going to happen is just an unknown thing. And usually I like to be so selfish in my performances. I want to feel like those moments that we discover become my own memories. And the way that I've done that usually is by only doing stuff that I really love and not trying to predetermine stuff, and sort of realizing that if a director I believe in and a script I believe in exist, that whatever alchemical thing that happens on set will be the most truthful way of finding my way in. And in this case, I was like, obviously I needed like 4 months to learn the accent because it's a really physical thing, but it's really fun to do the work. It's really fun to indulge in process and realize that, like, maybe the first sort of knee-jerk reaction is interesting, but how cool to have, like, the balls to, if you don't get the first knee-jerk reaction performance thing, dipping back in to fantasy, which is what actors do, is we tap into our imaginations, numerous times actually yields much deeper stuff. Like, if you feel like you've lost it, like if you feel like, oh man, at the first take we didn't get it, if you have to force yourself back into a moment, you inevitably find just like stuff that you, basically what I'm saying is, almost like it becomes front to center, just surprisingly more affecting when you have to do it 10,000 fucking times. And the first time's great, but like imagine if you forced yourself back into it, you discover so much more, and also like your ability to be a human is not going to stop just because it's not the first time. This is like kind of a long-winded way of putting it, but I don't know.
But on that front, so when you do get it after that 10,000th time.
Also, everyone's like, shut the fuck up, I don't care. And you're like, cool movie, bro.
But it's that 10,000th time, you get it. Do you have a physical reaction, like you know you got it?
Yeah, that's the thing, is like you should be able to get it in a different way more than one time, and then go funnel that into something that feels whole. Yeah, instead of being like, well, just that first time was the one that and then I can never go back. It's like, that's because you're scared. And being fearful of things is good, but to the extent that you want to, I don't know, that I feel like that only kind of worked for me for the first like 15 years of my career. This time, now I want to go further in, yeah. So,
and we've also talked about it, there's obviously, I'm not saying anything new, there's so much information about Princess Diana. Is that freeing because there's all that information, or is it like, oh shit, there's all this info, everyone has their ideas about her, we're trying to squeeze in, this one time during Christmas. What do you do with all that information, and how do you not let it, I guess, consume you and prevent you from just going to those 3 days?
Like the first week of shooting, I tried to shove everything that I learned about her, and I don't mean details, but just I definitely like overstepped the mark when we first started, because you have this instinct that like, oh, the time is now. So all of these emotional triggers that have been buried by the research, like they want their moment, and you have to be like, you all need to chill. We're doing this scene right now. Yeah, I think they all became physical. I think the best direction I got from Pablo was like, like relax and trust that it's there, because I wanted to do. I mean, look, I guess luckily we got to do that montage thing sort of at the end of every single day, so it felt like we could kind of lyrically touch on her whole life without having to be specific, and in that way I could hold everything I learned about her sort of in a abstract moment, which was fun. And then in the moments that were more specific to our story, all of the year and a half that loomed over me for that long, and all of the time that I had with her was just there. There's no way to like make it more specific. There's no way to explain it better. It's like if you read a bunch about someone, anyone who's been obsessed with like a writer, and you've like just gone through everything that they've produced, you just feel like that's your friend. You do the best impressions of your friends. Like I'm not like somebody who can do impressions, but like I can do my friends. Like if you're telling stories, they're just suddenly present in you because they're present in you because you love them on like this cellular level. And I do feel that way about her. And also that says so much about you as well, the things that you identify with in another person. So like if somebody else played this part, they would have fallen in love with like totally a different set of affectations, and I picked and chose mine. And that says everything about me. And it says everything about Pablo, the way he wanted to look at her. Like you can feel his perspective and the ways that he loved her. And yeah.
What was more surreal, putting on a tiara or the wedding dress?
No, yeah, equals, yeah, same.
Because even when I saw you with the tiara, I literally went, I don't know, the wedding dress I expected, I guess, because it's so obviously iconic, but the tiara, I literally went, and you were wearing a tiara.
Yeah, I know. Mark was like, "This is not the girl I know." Yeah. I think the first time I put on this tiara, I don't even like saying that word.
Is it a crown? Like a mini crown, a crownette?
I don't know. I should know that. I'm not sure. We did photos with it first, and it was for the first time I talked to anyone was in like the little Roadhouse Cafe, and there's a picture. I don't think it's actually in the movie ultimately, but the chick that becomes gobsmacked when I first walk in and say like, where the fuck am I? There's a picture of Princess Diana on the wall. And I don't think you see it in the movie, but we had to take that photo, and that was the first time I wore the tiara, and it was all just for that one picture, and I thought it was going to be super heavily featured in the movie, and so I was like, we need to get this right. I made him take like 5,000 of these pictures, and I was like, dude, I look fucking orange, and my neck looks like bulging, massive. I was like, there were so many things about this thing, like, because we actually didn't do any perfect impressions. Like, I couldn't cross-reference any of our work with anything, but this one picture that luckily didn't make it in the movie. I was like, I've seen this picture, it needs to be perfect. And if you look at side-by-sides, it's not like we look alike. So for that, I was like so pissy about it. And he was like, it doesn't matter, Chris.
Because it's not in the movie in the end. Has Kentucky Fried Chicken called for an endorsement deal?
I've heard that they made like a sweatshirt or something with, her sweatshirt sweater that has the black
the
sheep or lamb
yeah.
or whatever the fuck. And they made one with a little like chicken that is off, not in the herd. I need that. I haven't seen it. I heard about it, but that's really funny to me.
And why Kentucky? I mean, this might not be a question for you, but why Kentucky Fried Chicken? We all expected like it's going to be McDonald's, it's going to be Burger King.
Same.
And it was KFC. I didn't even know they have that in the UK.
So I feel like this doesn't matter, whatever, but I feel like it was McDonald's, and then KFC hooked us up.
With a big bucket.
Yeah. But if you've spent any time in the UK, they're obsessed with that shit. Like, I like more so than here, I feel like they have a thing about KFC.
In Mexico they do, because my husband's Mexican, and I know like KFC
Really?
is major in Mexico.
Yeah. Well, I have a few friends. I have like this, like the resounding sound of like, we need to go get a Zinger burger. I'm like, I don't know what that is, but for sure. Yeah, no, KFC's like, I think it's better there actually, because they maybe have different regulations. Our stuff doesn't exist. They have, yeah. And also, when you grew up, did you hear about how like the rumor, the urban legend of like the chickens having like 3 breasts? And
Yeah.
shit? I don't think they do that in the UK. So we were all about.
By the way, anything that she says is not endorsed by Neon. It is her personal opinion.
Yeah, I've been doing this for too long now. They need to just get the hook at this point. Be like, we need to just take her away. The movie's it's going to do okay.
What was it like when you knew you got the voice down? Because the voice is spectacular. Again, we've heard other actors do the voice, and like what you were saying, each one of you have tapped into something else.
Yeah.
Did you ever, this is the second part of the question, did you ever go off set and use it?
No. I mean, a little bit, like if I was like joking. My best friend did such a good, oh man, fuck, CJ, what was Susie saying constantly? She'd always be like, yes, no, maybe. Depending on lots of things, and like constantly. But I'd be like, dude, I have to do this scene at some point. You have to stop doing this. It just became like kind of a joke. And also like wandering around the grounds, like all of that shit.
You do that really good.
I did for a while, yeah, it was kind of my thing.
But when did you know you got the voice? Because I'm sure, it's not the first time out, all of a sudden you're like, I got it.
I had to kind of just trust. I can hear my voice within my own body, but I don't know how that comes off. And like, I consider my ear to be kind of attuned to things, but I had to completely trust my coach. I mean, like, when we first started day one, I was like, we can't work anymore. Am I ready? Do you know what I mean? Like, what, does it sound good to you? And he was like, absolutely. And it got better as we shot. And so, like, I know that he was just saying that to sort of give me confidence, and because we were starting to shoot, so there was really not much more he could do. Like, what is he gonna do? Be like, actually, you're not there. It's like, well, we are shooting, so.
So let's open it up to the audience. Do we have a mic going around? Do I have to Phil Donahue it? No? Okay. There you go. That was very, very, yeah, that was a lot of enterprise there. Go ahead.
I guess, like, the most challenging stuff was the stuff that I couldn't get ready for, which would be the stuff with the kids, because they're just unruly little animal people. And I could, like, do my job as much as I could to be prepared, but the whole thing between all of us needed to, you know, be even more real than what I could prescribe while faking it. And so yeah, I would say, like, the two scenes with the candlelight and we're playing the game at night, that thing is, it's kind of the only scene in the whole movie that's not perfectly written. The kids are ad-libbing the whole time. We're just playing the game. And it's really hard to ad-lib in the accent. And I didn't have to ADR anything in that shit, which, like, was really satisfying. And like the dancing stuff, because we just couldn't know what it was gonna end up being. And with a movie like this, I just had everything on lock. I mean, to a certain extent, you get there and you let it grow and you kind of let it find itself. But those two things were the only sort of unknowns, which is the best part. Thank you. Yeah, which is the most fun, but scary. Yeah.
Next question. There you go, right there. Hi.
What's your favorite
Favorite
costume?
costume?
The like Chanel couture dress on the bathroom floor. Yeah, definitely. Like the white one that's on the poster. Yeah.
In the back, right? Yeah, you got it.
So what I loved about the film is how, like, intimate it felt, and I think that had a lot to do with it being shot, you know, with just 3 days and such a contained story. So my question is, with such a contained story, how did you kind of go about maintaining, like, that high emotion, that intimacy, when obviously you're filming for much more than 3 days, like over a month? Was that more difficult? Did you like telling the story that way? Anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, imagining doing this in 3 days and just having, like, the run of it, that sounds much worse. Yeah, and also that's just how you do things. Like, that's we didn't shoot remotely chronologically. Like, everything was completely shuffled, and commonly I'm, like, asked if that's difficult to try and navigate out of order a story that is so sequential, of a 3-day period that's so condensed. But if you do a scene from the end of the movie at the beginning of the shoot, while you're also doing something that very day that comes from the beginning, one feeds the other. You just sort of go, like, you're able to hold the whole story. I think it's better to not shoot chronologically. It's nice to sort of hold the whole thing. And because of how unspecific the movie is, each line, it's like every single exchange that we have says so much more than what we're actually literally saying. And it was nice to carry the weight of everything the whole time, because it got heavier and heavier as we went. And yes, I think that's it.
Would you ever want to revisit her and play her in some earlier, maybe 3 days before?
Oh my God. Pablo and I talk about this all the time. We could shoot this movie forever. I mean, like, I will not be doing that. But as a fantasy, of course. Oh my God, there are so many.
The streamers are looking for content.
Oh, wow. You should give the people what they want. Yeah, not having no fucking way.
Next question right here.
Some of my favorite scenes were the scenes you had with Sally Hawkins and that intimacy and freedom. Can you talk about working together with her on those scenes?
Yeah, Sally's the best. Like, when I heard that she was going to be doing the movie, I was like, as soon as she walks into the room, you feel like better. And I had never met her before either. I think it's just there are some people that they bring their whole life to their work. And then there are some people that are like incredible character actors and they feel different every time. She does both. She does this thing that just feels like so true, and like every part that I've seen her play, every interview I've seen with her, I have that in my pocket when she comes on screen, when she like walks into a scene and speaks to me. And I love her. And that's just lucky. That's just an embedded relationship right there. Like, and she's so magic. She's such a weird little fairy. Like, that's her. Like, yeah. I mean, she's obviously crafted that beautifully, and it's, you know, it's inspired by the script and all that, whatever. But she, if I were to need someone to come around and help me out like that, when they said it was Sally, I was like, great, cool, job's done. Like, we've got it. Yeah.
What about the curtsy? Did you get that right away? Because isn't that like a hard thing to do? People always talk about like the proper way to curtsy, and it's very subtle. Like
It's tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, people do too much and then like fall over. Yeah, it's just like a little tiny like head tilt and like one little. It's harder for women. Well, obviously only women do it, but it's just like women who wear heels. That's harder. I can do it though. I got it. I've got balance. You know, if I can walk that line. Yeah. Yeah.
Another question. Sure, right there. Okay, go ahead. I feel so bad. Go ahead.
Every person he says yes to, he's saying no to so many other. Yeah.
Amazed by how you were able to mirror the way she walked. And like her walk was so specific, and I remember it from news footage. I was just amazed by how you were able to do the get that down.
Thanks. I just looked at it. Yeah, it's like
But
there's no key to the yeah, like
Is
literally.
it literally like you're just watching and you're just like, is a friend watching going, okay, you got it? Or is it again, you get to set and you're just like, okay, I hope Pablo's into the way I'm walking and
Yeah.
is the way she walks?
I think there are a couple things like, I think if you like same with the photo. I think if you put it side by side, it would not be the same. Like I don't think they're actually exactly the same at all. I just think that there's kind of a projection thing that happens with an audience. You like have a few things right, and then everyone fills in the blanks for you. Yeah, I mean there are a couple. No, she just sort of she was a little bit lighter than me. She's taller, longer, like a little bit more linear, longer. I just thought about that. That's it. Like I just was like, right, because she's lighter, taller, cool, walk like that. Like that's it. There's no. I wish I had like a more interesting answer. I just looked at a lot of pictures and shit and went like that. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have, and I'm sorry. I didn't say no to them. I just couldn't get to them.
No, I was just feeling for you, going
Thank
like,
you.
oh, it's so hard to be in right now.
Well, thank you very much, Kristen. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.